Trinity's world had shattered. A hidden diary smelling of old secrets and bound in cracked leather had ripped apart her life, revealing the agonizing truth of her mother's desperate escape and a forbidden love whispered only in its fragile pages. The diary was a cruel puzzle, its ink-stained pronouncements leaving a trail of unanswered questions burning in Trinity's soul. Who was Evelyn, her mother, running from with such terror in her heart? Why was Trinity's very existence a secret so dangerous, so potent, that it warranted a death sentence? And Reese, where was he? The thought of his absence was a physical ache, a gaping wound in her heart. Would their paths ever intertwine again, or were they destined to remain separated by the cruel hand of fate? Far away, in the shadowed corners of his own turmoil, Reese's senses strained, reaching for the faintest echo of his beloved. "Where are you, little bunny?" he breathed, his voice a raw whisper in the empty air. He clawed at the invisible threads of their mate bond, desperate to forge a connection, to pierce the suffocating silence that separated them. He pushed, strained, but it was like grasping at smoke. Some dark, insidious magic, perhaps the warlock's vile handiwork, was blocking him. A wall of impenetrable shadows between their souls. His phone buzzed, a jarring intrusion into his desperate concentration. It was Noah, his voice tight with urgency. "We have a clue, Reese." Reese surged to his feet, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Hope, fragile as a butterfly's wings, fluttered within him. Meanwhile, miles away, Trinity lay half-conscious, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and terror. Her mother's face, etched with fear and desperation, haunted her. What had she been running from? When would Reese find her? The questions swirled around her, a suffocating vortex. Exhaustion claimed her, dragging her down into the murky depths of sleep, a sleep that became a portal, transporting her back to the sun-drenched haze of a long-ago summer afternoon. The air hung heavy with the scent of honeysuckle and freshly cut grass. Trinity, a young woman on the cusp of adulthood, stood before her grandfather's imposing estate. Its stone walls, weathered by time and secrets, seemed to mirror the man who resided within. Her hands clenched into fists, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. A gust of wind rustled the leaves at her feet, a whisper of the secrets the old house held. Taking a deep, steadying breath, she raised her hand and knocked. The silence that followed was thick with anticipation. Then, footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoed from within. A pause, heavy with unspoken words, and the door creaked open, revealing the sharp, glacial blue eyes of her grandfather. "Trinity," he greeted, his voice flat, devoid of warmth. "What do you want?" She swallowed, forcing down the lump of fear that had risen in her throat. "I need to talk to you. It's important." His gaze raked over her, assessing, judging, as if measuring the weight of her words. For a moment, she thought he would dismiss her, slam the door in her face. But then, with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of centuries, he stepped aside, granting her entry. "Make it quick." Trinity stepped into the house, the familiar scent of aged wood, dust, and the faint, lingering aroma of burning firewood filling her senses. The house was exactly as she remembered it, vast, dark, cold, and suffocating. A place where secrets thrived in the shadows. She turned to face her grandfather, her voice trembling slightly. "I found Mom's diary." His face remained impassive, an impenetrable mask, but she saw a flicker, a tightening of the muscles in his jaw. "Did you?" "She was running from someone," Trinity continued, her voice gaining strength. "She was afraid, and she mentioned something about a secret, something that would put me in danger." She took a step closer, her eyes searching his. "I need to know what it is." Her grandfather moved towards the fireplace, his movement slow, deliberate. He picked up a poker, stirring the embers absently as if trying to rekindle a dying flame. "You don't want to dig up Ghost Girl," he said, his voice low, a warning rumble. "Some things are better left buried." "Not this," Trinity insisted, her voice ringing with conviction. "Not when it's about my mother, and not when it's about me." A heavy silence descended upon them, thick and suffocating. It stretched, an eternity compressed into a few agonizing moments. Then finally, her grandfather turned to face her, his eyes piercing, intense. "There's something I need to show you." He led her down a narrow, dimly lit hallway, past portraits of stern-faced ancestors, whose eyes seemed to follow her every move. They reached an old oak-paneled study. He pushed aside a heavy bookcase, revealing a hidden passage concealed behind it. Dust billowed into the air as he gestured for her to follow. Her heart pounded in her chest, a frantic drumbeat urging her forward. She stepped into the hidden room. It was small, lined with shelves overflowing with ancient tomes and strange, unidentifiable artifacts. But it was the object in the center of the room that drew her attention, held her captive in its silent power. A stone, resting atop a simple wooden pedestal. It wasn't large, but it pulsed with an energy that resonated deep within her, a power both terrifying and alluring. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Her grandfather stepped beside her, his face etched with a mixture of fear and resignation. "The Moonstone." Trinity frowned, her brow furrowed in confusion. "I don't understand." His eyes, those cold, piercing blue eyes, met hers, and in their depths, she saw a truth that made her blood run cold. "Your mother didn't just run because of a forbidden love," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of secrets. "She ran because of you, because of what you are." Trinity felt her breath catch in her throat. The world seemed to tilt, the ground beneath her feet shifting and crumbling. What do you mean?" His words hit Trinity like a physical blow. Everything suddenly made sense. Her mother's fear, the secrets, the diary. She wasn't just an ordinary girl. She was something more, something other. And that something made her a target. The echoes of his words reverberated through her mind as she woke up in the present, the cold, harsh reality of her captivity crashing down upon her. She was still a prisoner, held captive by the same dark forces that had driven her mother into hiding. The memories, the tantalizing glimpses into the past, were cut short, leaving her stranded in a sea of unanswered questions. Was this fate? Or was it some cruel game the warlocks were playing, manipulating her mind, twisting her memories? Was she even truly alive? And Reese, where was Reese? The thought of him, the desperate longing for his touch, his presence, was a burning ache within her soul. She closed her eyes, clutching at the fading images of the Moonstone, the mark.
Hey, I am Trinity. Want to know what happens next? Then click the link in the description below and download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Chosen by Fate, Rejected by the Alpha,